Yo, what's going on, guys? And today I wanted to talk about who will the Milwaukee Bucks be drafting in the NBA draft this year. And they have the 31st pick, which is basically the first pick in the second round. So they're going to have an opportunity to get a first round pick. Not a first round pick, but a first round prospect. Sorry for, I guess, misphrasing that. And I want to hear your opinions down below right now. Who do you guys think would be the best choice for the Milwaukee Bucks to get in this draft? And hey, if we guys really want to get into it, we could look at who do the Milwaukee Bucks have under contract in the upcoming season, okay? Because that does factor into the decision making. I already have some players that I believe would be perfect for them, okay? I think they're going to benefit from if they get, we'll talk about that in a second. Under contract, Jordan Nwora, Sam Merrill, Mamadi Diakite, Elijah Bryant, Bryn Forbes, and Bobby Portis have options. Donte DiVincenzo, Pat Connaughton, Brook Lopez, Jrue Holiday, Khris Middleton, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Okay, so with those guys under contract, let's talk about what this team needs. The reigning NBA champions. With Giannis Antetokounmpo and Khris Middleton and Jrue Holiday, the Bucks have enough shot creation to get them through games, but they could use one more legitimate two-way player. The loss of Donte DiVincenzo to injury has really been felt throughout the playoffs. We saw it. Even though Pat Connaughton was able to come up and hit big shots in the postseason and was very valuable, but he was constantly targeted by the Phoenix on defense. And this is a player that doesn't have much creation upside. He just needs to be able to shoot and hold his own on defense. That's the prospect they need. They need a player who doesn't need to have much creation upside. He just needs able to shoot it well and hold himself on defense. Those guys are harder to find than you think, but they do exist. And if you're not worried about them being creators, then it's just finding them. It's kind of like looking for those uncut gems. And the Bucks do not have a first round pick, but following a pick swap with the Rockets, they do have the 31st pick of the draft. Now, Kessler Edwards would be great. I doubt Kessler Edwards will be available at that. I think Kessler Edwards will go somewhere near the end of the first round. He's a guy who played 3 years at Pepperdine, where Pepperdine, if you guys did not know, is where PCA Pacific Coast Academy from Zoe 101 was set and filmed. And he's 21 years old, I'd like to say. Yeah, 20 years old, would be 21 at the start of the season. He averaged throughout career about 1.5 blocks per game and a 1 steal per game guy. So this past year he had 1.2 blocks, but his sophomore year he had 1.8 blocks. He's a 40% three-point shooter. He averaged 17.2 points per game and 7 rebounds. And this is a guy who could really, I'm a fan of it because he's shooting and defensive guy who's really good. He's 6'8" and he moves really well. He goes off his screens well. He forces defenders out of his way. He's a pretty effective floor spacer, and he doesn't demand the ball. And his defensive value is as a weak side rim protector who has really good instinctual awareness. And I see him as a guy who could last in the NBA as a useful floor spacer and a solid team defender. Now, I doubt he's going to be there. Now, a guy who potentially could be there, but again, could go a little bit in the same range as Kessler Edwards, as he's another 3-year college player, 21 years old already, and he'll be 21 at the start of the NBA. He's a solid 3-and-D player right now. He made tons of threes last year for Houston, shooting at a 40% clip. And he was a guy who averaged 18 points a game. He has a great quick release. And defensively, he did a really good job. He has aggressive closeouts. He has a good job of knowing what the opposing player's tendencies are and cutting those off. He's strong enough at with his torso that he can absorb contact through drives, and he doesn't force a crazy number of turnovers, but he does a good job of off the ball of staying attached. And yes, he's not the best athlete. He's a bit slow. Can't get by anyone. He's kind of stiff, and he doesn't really have any change of direction skill because of the stiffness through his hips. This is what kind of doomed his career as a point guard. Couldn't separate from even a college level defenders consistently, and that's kind of worrying to think about what he'll do against NBA wings. While he's very active, I wouldn't say he has tremendous lateral quickness. Could have some defensive worries against quicker, more agile guards. Could limit his overall defensive effectiveness. But the thing is, Grimes' basketball trajectory is very interesting. Very few five-star prospects come back from the brink, completely change their games, and reinvent themselves in this way. For this to happen, it must have taken Quinn Grimes a while to humble himself and really put the work in and become the player he is now, because he was supposed to be a point guard coming into college, okay? If you look at his game in Kansas, first off, they tried fitting him. He was a square peg trying to be put in a circle hole. And look, he's a guy that I think Grimes has shown the capability to improve and scale the adversity. And I think he's an unlimited guy to an extent. He's a 3-and-D player that hasn't quite yet hit shots from the NBA line at a consistent level, but he has a real shot of being useful defensively, and if shot continues to develop at the level, he could become a really valuable role player. He just needs to keep progressing that way. Now, a guy who has some health concern because of medical reasons, I think he would be a first round pick for sure, and he might go in the first round pick. His range is volatile. Jared Butler, he's 6'3". He's a junior. He's going to be 21 years old. He averaged 17 points. He back-to-back years, almost 17 points, 40% three-point shooter, and he dished out about 5 assists a game. And this is a guy, he is a tailor-made fit as a combo scoring guard with a little bit more, he's perfect for the NBA. He has the ability to hit shots off the catch and off the movement well, and I think he's perfect to play off of Khris Middleton, Jrue Holiday, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. I think he's the perfect point guard to run there, and he could probably start now. And his ability to create his own shot with tight handle and out of isolation will make him super useful running the show occasionally with the bench unit. On top of that, he's a really hard worker on defense, a smart passer, and this is an easy skill set to make it work in today's NBA from day one, in my opinion. And 6'3" with a 6'5" wingspan, and he's strong and tough at 195 pounds. Doesn't blow anybody away, but I think he shows what he's capable. And he's a guy who on defense he battles and he's aggressive and pesky. He slides his feet, stays in front constantly, has quick feet, contests basically every shot, has great balance. He's good on closeouts, aggressive on contests, and he cuts off the opposing driver. He's really good at in the right help position often. He makes a smart, calculated gamble and led the Big 12 in steals. So I think he's a guy who would be perfect for them. Honestly, would be a great fit. And I think the other guy we could argue that could be there is David Johnson. I really do like David Johnson. I think David Johnson could be a solid fit. This is a guy who played 2 years at Louisville, and he did improve this year. He was a 38.6% three-point shooter, 41.1% from the field. He averaged 1.1 steals per game, 0.3 blocks per game, 3.2 turnovers a game, which was bad, 3.2 assists, 6 rebounds, and almost 13 points. And he's a guy 6'5" with a 6'11" wingspan, basically, and he can be a lead guard, or he could be a secondary playmaker who can defend multiple different positions. And his best skill is making plays with the ball in his hands. I really think that his potential as a catch and shoot guy is there, especially that he showed this year. He's not terrible, but really he's a disruptive defender. He absolutely is a defensive playmaker in the passing lanes, reads them really well. Pick sixes happen, and that's the ability to help lead the breaks and transition. He's going to be good off the ball day one because of that help ability, but also he's good on the ball. On the ball, he's great, and he's good off the ball. And he's great at using his length to contest shots. Not an elite mover laterally, but good enough to cut off angles given his size and length. Cuts off drives with his chest while contesting, and is able to play off in order to use his size to cut off angles while maintaining the gap and being able to contest on the ball. Now, I think Johnson's best role would be as a secondary moving creator on offense next to a primary guard, particularly one that is bigger and can hit pull-up jumpers. If you compare up next to Jrue Holiday, I think Jrue Holiday isn't necessarily bigger, but Jrue Holiday, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Khris Middleton, I think that's perfect. David Johnson defends and fights on one end and really fosters ball movement with terrific passing on the other end. And there are roles for him to really be an effective NBA player, but he's going to have to keep working on his frame. He could stand to get into elite shape. I don't think, like, once he gets in an NBA training conditioning, he'll get there. That's why I think some time maybe in the G League will help. And he has to improve that jumper, which again, G League will help. He's not a pull-up threat, and he's probably not going to stick at the NBA level as a two guard, and he's not athletic enough to be a true one that is a primary guy even off the bench. So with how good he is on defense and that elite level passing, I feel like his game really gives him a chance that the skill level will catch up, and the athleticism is enough. 6'5", 210 pounds, needs to maybe put on 5 to 10 pounds and get into NBA shape. Perfect shooting guard, swing man. So yeah, that's my video, guys. Let me hear what you think.